Welcome back to SRLive and another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. Now today we're going to be looking at something a bit different. Now it's safe to say the first few months of Battlefront 2 have been interesting.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
So I've come up with 5 seasons that we all want to see that will revive this game and bring the life back to it. Now the first season that I've come up with is on Coruscant. The villain in this season is Anakin and the hero is none other than Sauz Bandim. Now if you don't know who Sauz Bandim is, he is the youngling that we see in the Jedi Temple.
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Oh Now, getting into the star cards and background. So, for Anakin, his allegiance is to the Sith. His weapon is obviously a lightsaber. His strengths are slaughtering younglings and sand people, and seeing through the lies of the Jedi. And his weaknesses are of course sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Okay. So for Anakin's star cards, the first is It's Unfair, where double damage is dealt if the enemy is under the age of 12. The second star card is Not Just the Men, which is increased damage and lower stamina drain. The third star card, The Chosen One, which is a special move where you betray your team, getting them killed in the process, but on the upside you still win. And finally, It Gets Everywhere, where Anakin has a 10% damage increase on planets with no sand. So for Sauz, his allegiance is to the Jedi. His weapon is a lightsaber. His strengths are hiding when there are
Too many of them.
And his weakness is Anakin's lightsaber. Now for Sauz, we have Tank, where he has reduced damage from lightsabers, except Anakin's of course. Martyr, where Sauz has minus 50% health, but he doubles all allies' health. And finally we have Jedi Chubster, where he enrages the enemy by calling them master when all they've been given was a seat on the council.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. Take a seat, young Skywalker.
What?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
How can you do this?
Take a seat.
This is outrageous.
Take a seat.
It's unfair.
Take a seat.
How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
And their stamina drains twice as fast. Okay, so that does it for our first season. Moving on, the second season is a Geonosis season. So the villain in this season is Jango Fett, and the hero is probably the most unsung hero of the whole saga, Master Coleman Trebor. Okay, if you don't know who this guy is, then roll the clip.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
This man single-handedly tried to finish the Clone Wars before they even began. So, his allegiance is to the Jedi, his weapon is a lightsaber, his strengths are, well, bravery, and his weaknesses are the unforgiving of Jango's blasters. Jango is obviously a bounty hunter, but for the sake of this season he'll be a villain. His weapons are dual custom Westar 3-4 blaster pistols, and his strengths are creating a clone army that will do their job well, and his weaknesses is, well, as you see here, pretty self-explanatory. Now, for Master Treble star cards, we have Martyr, which is the same concept as Swords' Martyr, where he has minus 50% damage, but doubles all his allies' health. Jedi Wisdom, where your huge head senses all enemies around you and you gain health, although you have a vulnerability to Jango's blaster. And finally, the last star card is Hero, where he has decreased stamina and increased weapon cooling power to nearby allies. Because, I mean, look at him, who wouldn't feel inspired after seeing him on the battlefield? And for Jango's abilities, we have Cool Head, where he has unlimited weapon cooling at the expense of an 80% weaker neck area. We have I'm Just a Simple Man, where using the jetpack doesn't burn fuel. And finally, we have Singing in the Rain, where he has 50% damage bonus on rainy planets and minus 20% health on dry ones. Because we all know what happens on dry planets. Now for the next season, we'll be travelling to the Utapau system. Okay, so the heroes that we're getting in this season are Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous. Now, I believe the inclusion of Obi-Wan Kenobi could revive this game. And I know it's a bold statement,
You are a bold one.
but I believe that he could give the breath of life to Star Wars Battlefront 2.
We need a volunteer that ain't breathing.
Now, as Obi-Wan is such a iconic character, I've come up with 5 star cards that he could have when these star cards are inevitably brought into the game. Okay, so his allegiance is to the Jedi, to the Republic,
To democracy!
his weapon is a lightsaber, his strengths are having the high ground, Sith Lords are his speciality, and of course, happy landings. Now his weaknesses are the low ground and the uncivilized nature of blasters. So, the first 3 star cards are
Hello there.
where Obi-Wan goes off the radar and is invisible to enemies' minimaps. The second star card is Oh, I Don't Think So, where Obi-Wan Kenobi gains 200 health, making him a force to be reckoned with on the battlefront. Now the third card is I Have the High Ground. This gives Obi-Wan Kenobi a 50% damage increase when attacking from above. Now this is probably his signature move, so this is probably the card that we're most likely to see when he's brought into the game. His 4th and 5th star cards are So Uncivilized, where he has a 20% blaster damage reduction, and finally another Happy Landing, where he has higher jumping and a speed boost. So moving on to Grievous, his allegiance is to the Separatists, his weapon or weapons are his 4 lightsabers, his strengths are spinning his lightsabers, and his weakness is that he's very prone to asthma. Grievous's 3 star cards are Time to Abandon Ship, where he's undetectable on enemies' minimaps, and also has a temporary speed boost. Asthma Attack, where Grievous has unlimited stamina for his lightsaber strikes, and enemies who are attacking him drain their stamina twice as fast. And finally, Spinny Boy, where he gets all 4 of his lightsabers out and spins them like we see in Revenge of the Sith. Now, moving on to the 4th season. This one's a bit different because we're not getting a certain map with heroes. This is a new game mode. So, on the hero side we have a team of Ewoks, and on the villain side we have a team of Jawas. Now I see this being like a battle to the death. That sounds kind of messed up now I say it. I think it would be quite a good game mode to see, and this is how I imagine it looking in the game.
challenge you.
Martini!
And now,
Martini!
finally, we have returned.
Martini!
So, the Ewoks. Their allegiance is to the Rebellion. Their weapons are rocks and, I don't know, it looks like anything that they can pick up. And their strengths are taking down ATSTs using only natural resources. Now we know these guys are pretty OP, so you know, they could be quite good to see in the game. And their weaknesses are that they're pretty small and they don't really look that scary, to be honest. So, for the Jawas, their allegiance, well, they're scavengers, they don't really have an allegiance, but for the sake of the season, they're going to be villains. Their weapon is the CA-87 that we've seen in Battlefront 2015, and is now in the game as a repulsor cannon, I believe. Their strengths are ambushing, scrap and trade, and their weaknesses are they're also pretty small, and they're quite weak against blaster fire. Now, for the final season, Season 5 of the 5 seasons I have come up with, we have Jar Jar Binks versus Watto. Now, this is a season based in Mos Espa. The hero that we see in this season is obviously Jar Jar Binks.
Let me be your hero.
His allegiance is probably unknown. People seem to think that he's a Sith Lord, but yeah. His weapon is his tongue. His strengths are giving a Sith Lord emergency powers in the Senate. Actually no, he could be a Sith Lord. And his weaknesses are literally anything because he is a dumb Now, so on the villain side we have Watto. Now, I know this guy isn't particularly a villain and he's a pretty cool dude, but his allegiance is to business. His weapon is an L60 blaster rifle. Now, I don't actually see him with this in the film, but it's a Toydarian blaster. His strengths are a resistance to Jedi mind tricks, and his weaknesses, or weakness, is an extremely unhealthy gambling addiction. So, for Jar Jar star cards, we have where Jar Jar squeezes enemy with his tongue, killing them instantly because, I mean, look at that thing. The second star card is Bombad General, where he deals bonus damage and he gives his allies bonus health. Now finally, his third star card is Hello Boyos, where he goes off the radar for the enemy team and deals 20% extra damage. Now for Watto's star cards, the first one is Mind Tricks Don't Work on Me.
I'm a Toydarian! Mind tricks don't work on me! Only money!
Where Jedi abilities have half effect and Rey's Mind Trick does nothing. Business is Business, where he does a 20% damage increase. And finally, the Negotiator.
The Negotiator!
Where he has bonus health and lower stamina drain. Now, those are my 5 that I believe will be able to revive Star Wars Battlefront 2. And let's be honest, we all want to see these seasons. EA, if you're watching this, this is what we want. We want Watto, we want Jar Jar, we want the youngling. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave it for this video. I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell anyone this, but this video is purely speculative. Nothing is confirmed, you know, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be seeing Watto and Swordsbanding, the youngling, in Battlefront 2 at some point, because how could they leave him out? But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.